Hey travelers, buckle up, because the Genshin 5.6 beta just dropped a ton of juicy content, and it's got the entire community buzzing. We're not talking about your usual patch notes here. This time, we've got two characters making waves, Escoffier and Ifa. And while both are at the center of the hype, the reasons behind their spotlight moments couldn't be more different. Curious? Good. Let's dig into the details that have everyone talking. Let's begin with Escoffier, because honestly, this might just be the redemption arc Cryo teams have been waiting for. If you're someone who remembers the glory days of freeze comps back in Mondstadt or Liyue, you know the vibe. Freezing your enemies solid and shattering them into icy bits? It was iconic. But as new updates rolled in, elemental metas shifted, and Cryo slowly started fading into the background. Fast forward to the 5.x series, and freeze teams were basically on life support. That's why Escoffier's debut feels not only refreshing, but honestly kind of emotional. She's bringing that old school power back with a modern twist. People instantly started comparing her to Emily. Same region, Fontaine, same weapon, polearm, and both have those sweet off-field, long-duration skills. But Escoffier isn't just another Fontaine filler. She takes Cryo synergy to a whole new level, making characters like Ayaka and Ganyu feel like absolute monsters again. Now, let's talk about why she's so cracked. First off, you don't need to keep rotating her in and out. She works her magic quietly from the sidelines. We're talking a 32% team-wide damage buff and up to 55% cryo resistance shred, and she's not even hogging field time. On top of that, she throws in sub-DPS damage and healing. Two types of healing, in fact. It's wild how much value you get without even breaking a sweat. There's a rumor going around that she's only worth using in freeze teams, but let's bust that myth. Sure, her cryo res shred is cryo only, but everything else, the buffs, the heals, the off-field damage, totally usable in mixed comps. And let's not ignore how busted her first constellation is. Like, genuinely game-changing. So, the big question, does she make cryo great again? Absolutely. Especially for Ayaka, who's been quietly sidelined by newer characters that are flashier or easier to build around. But pair her up with Escoffier, and suddenly Ayaka feels top tier again. The synergy from Escoffier's C2 effect, which the whole team can trigger up to 5 times, is tailor-made for burst-centric units like Ayaka and Ganyu. Rosaria? Not so much. She struggles to activate it efficiently. Now, what about Neuvillette? He's a beast. Escoffier's a support queen. Surely they're a dream duo, right? Not quite. Neuvillette already has one of the most optimized setups in the game. Throwing Escoffier into that team feels more like an awkward smoothie mix. Two good flavors that don't blend well. As for how to build her, you can go classic support. Totally valid. But some testers are getting creative with Golden Troop to bring out her sub-DPS side. Stack some crit rate, crit damage, ATK percent, and you've got a unit who buffs in battles. Just don't skimp on energy recharge. Around 155% or more if she's in a cryo-heavy team like Ayaka, Shenhei, and Farina. That trio, by the way? Chef's kiss. And even if you're running her at C0 and only manage to pull her weapon, it's not a waste. That polearm actually works great on other characters like iansan and Chevreuse. It's one of those rare signature weapons with multi-character value. Bottom line, Escoffier is a straight-up win for cryo mains. She's strong, she's smooth, and she brings that much-needed shine back to some underrated units. But now, we gotta talk about Ifa. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. Ifa looks cool. His animations? Gorgeous. He's got a unique flying mechanic that unlocks at higher constellations. But when you take him into real gameplay, he kind of stumbles. The main issue? You really need all 6 constellations to make him work. C0 Ifa's healing just doesn't keep up, especially with how Farina constantly drains HP. That makes him a poor match for high HP teams like ones with Neuvillette or Farina. Unless everyone on your squad has low HP needs, he's just not going to cut it as your main healer. Technically, you can build him as a main DPS, but again, only if you've maxed him out. And even then, he can't keep up with top-tier 5 stars. He's more accessible than someone like Mizuki and can work with buffs like Yelen's Burst. but the damage just doesn't hit hard enough. It feels more like a fun experiment than a real option. Oh, and the targeting? Super janky. If you're standing still, his projectiles hit just fine. But try moving and attacking. The aim goes off in weird directions, whether that's a bug or just weird design. Either way, it's annoying. Now weirdly, his flying mechanic at C6 is kind of awesome. If you don't have Chaska, it gives you a decent way to soar around the map. The controls aren't perfect, but it's still handy. It's ironic. He might be more useful as a travel companion than a fighter. The most frustrating thing? He's so close to being good. But by trying to scale both healing and DPS with different stat priorities, he ends up being kind of mediocre at both. If he had a tighter focus, either as a dedicated healer or DPS, he might have stood out more, even as a 4-star. Let's talk about Varka and Skirk. But before we dive into the juicy lore, here's something super important. Every single leak about them came out on April 1st. Yup, that's April Fool's Day. And if you've been around the Genshin leak scene, you already know. April 1st is pure chaos. Fake splash art, prank banners, outrageous reveals. You name it, someone's dropped it. That's what makes this batch of leaks so tricky. Skirk's sketch? It dropped exactly when it turned April 1st in China. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it was a brilliant way to sneak out something real while everyone assumed it was fake. And the Varka voice leak? It came with a disclaimer saying, "Not a joke." I know these leaks came out on April 1st, and yeah, it's been a few days since then. I actually held off on posting anything about it because I genuinely wasn't sure if I should. The timing made everything feel super suspicious, and I didn't want to jump the gun. But in the end, I decided to make this video anyway, because honestly, it's my responsibility to keep you guys updated on every piece of news and leaks, whether it's confirmed or not. If it's buzzing in the community, I'll be here to break it down for you. So even if our guard is up, these leaks might actually be the real deal. Which brings us perfectly into what those leaks are actually saying. Varka, the elusive Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius, who's been name-dropped by characters like Jean, Eula, and Mika, is finally going to be heard in version 5.6. That's right, heard. We won't see him face-to-face just yet, but voice lines alone are enough to spark major speculation. Will he be calm and wise? Or bold and loud? This is the first real glimpse into a character we've been hearing about since day one, and it could signal something much bigger brewing in the story. And then there's Skirk, the mysterious mentor who trained Child in the Abyss. At first, there was a sketch floating around that claimed to show her splash art. The community went wild over it. Her pose, the shattered glass background, and the void-like orb sparked all kinds of theories about her powers and connection to Dainsleif. But here's the truth. That sketch? It was fake, and it is confirmed. I actually found out it wasn't real while I was in the middle of making this video. And honestly, that's why I hesitated for a moment. Should I even include it? But I decided to keep it in because even if it was fake, the buzz it created was totally real. The whole community was talking about it, breaking it down, theorizing about what it could mean. All of that. Escoffier's return to Cryo glory, Ifa's potential but flawed debut, Varka's long-awaited voice debut, and even the fake but hyped Skirk leak adds up to something much bigger than just a character update. This version feels like the start of a deeper dive into lore, a rise in narrative stakes, and a clear shift in the way Genshin is telling its story. It's not just about who's getting added, it's about where the entire world of Teyvat is heading next. So there you have it. Escoffier is a cryo queen and possibly the biggest surprise of the patch. Ifa? Sadly, more like a flying novelty. Varka? Finally stepping out of the shadows. And Skirk? A ghost from the abyss, staring right at us. But now I want to hear from you. Are you hyped to build a cryo team again? Tempted to roll for Escoffier? Curious what Ifa's kit could become? And how do you feel about Skirk? Drop a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. And of course, if you enjoy staying ahead of the curve with all things Genshin, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I will meet you in the next one.